All right, let's dive right into this action-packed explainer. Picture this, the absolute end of the world. Humanity, and honestly, even the divine gods themselves, have been completely wiped off the map by these horrifying cosmic beings known as the Outer Gods. Our lone human survivor, Kim Yuan, is just standing there in the rubble of the apocalypse. But, surprise, this actually isn't the end. He gets sent back in time by the god Kronos to rewrite history, armed with the ultimate cheat code, the exact knowledge of what is going to happen next. Now, time travel, it is never free, and the massive cost of this time reversal is honestly fascinating. Kronos literally sacrifices his entire existence, erasing himself from reality completely just to send our main character back to December 31, 2019. This is just hours before the apocalypse officially kicks off. Yuan wakes up in his younger body, totally stripped of his godly stats, but he's kept all his memories. The clock is ticking, and all hell is about to break loose. So armed with this future knowledge, Yuan, who goes by the alias Charlie in these early stages, starts speedrunning these brutal tutorials at a mind-blowing pace. While everyone else is completely panicking as midnight strikes and the sky suddenly fills with glowing pink system messages, Charlie is already making moves. He's treating these deadly, terrifying survival tests like a perfectly optimized video game. Because here's the thing, he knows exactly what he's training for. The Outer Gods are the ultimate endgame threat. To even have a sliver of a chance against them later, he has to turn these early survival tests into a relentless point-farming playground right now. He can't afford to just survive, He has to absolutely dominate, hoarding every possible resource, stat point, and skill, so he can build a foundation strong enough to fight the apocalypse itself. Right out the gate, the first tutorial just dumps thousands of zombies into a crowded city sector. While normal people are running for their lives trying to fight off invincible monsters with garbage system weapons, he exploits a super simple, hidden weakness. By rubbing salt on his blade, which is this neat little trick he learned from a lucky survivor in his past life, he systematically slaughters 100 zombies in under 10 minutes. The salt literally melts them on contact. And this totally sets the tone for his new mindset. Rely only on yourself, farm maximum points, and ruthlessly manipulate the system mechanics to level up. He completely ignores the pleas of bullies and cowards. He is not carrying dead weight. Instead, he uses his heightened senses to track vibrations in the ground, hunting down secret subterranean bosses, like these giant mutant ducklings and worms, while everyone else cowers in the shrinking safe zones. To put this dominance into perspective, think about the average survivor right now. They're scraping by with maybe a few points and a trash weapon, but Charlie is already light years ahead of the pack. He racks up over 3,000 points in Phase 1 alone. Compare that to the measly 10 points he managed to get in his previous life. He knows that in this tower, points are literally the only currency that matters. They're the building blocks to turn a fragile human into a god-tier warrior. All this ruthless point farming pays off big time deep in the subway during the second tutorial. He rapidly hits level 20, which unlocks arcane power. This is absolutely crucial because it's the core base stat for all future magic. And since he meticulously hoarded his unassigned stat points, he just dumps them all into arcane power at once. He starts with a massive 18 points, which is way, way beyond the usual 12 that even top-tier players start with. Now, killing the Mother Worm boss, that was absolutely not supposed to happen. The administrator's little clown lackey is practically hyperventilating that a mere human pulled it off. In a total panic to handle this glitch in the Matrix, the corrupt lackey secretly offers Charlie a highly illegal third reward option, a direct sponsorship from Olympus. That's one of the most powerful godly factions in the tower. It's basically a massive shortcut to power. You'd think he'd take the gods here shortcut, right? No way. He flat out rejects their corrupt offer. Instead, he drops 1,000 of his hard-earned points to summon the true tutorial administrator directly. When this giant administrator steps through the portal, Charlie immediately exposes the Olympus interference. And the corrupt clown lackey? He's instantly obliterated into a red mist right on the spot for breaking the rules. For exposing this corruption and pulling off the impossible feat of killing the tutorial boss, the administrator hooks him up with an insanely overpowered S-rank skill, Master of Mana. This isn't just your standard buff. It's an administrator class ability that lays the entire foundation for his absolute magical dominance. It basically lets him control mana in ways normal players can't even fathom. And he just keeps snowballing. By the end of the third tutorial, he's single-handedly slaughtered thousands of monsters and hoarded hundreds of magic essences. When the exit portal opens, the other survivors are desperate for those essences to escape. So what does he do? He mercilessly sells them off for 100 points a pop. He walks away with a staggering 167,400 points, establishing this overwhelming monopoly that leaves everyone else in absolute awe. So what do you do with that kind of cash? You go on a massive shopping spree. He opens the system shop and cashes in those points for upper floor magical gear. He heavily focuses on fire and heat resistance, grabbing a pyromancy cloak, a magic ice steel sword, and ice crystals. The administrator is totally baffled by why a tutorial player is buying high-level gear like this, but Charlie knows exactly what kind of hellfire is coming next. Here is where things get completely wild. He intentionally lets the tutorial timer run out. He completely fails the mission on purpose just to summon the hidden annihilation boss, Sertutra. This thing is a giant fire demon that instantly turns the entire city sector into a 400-degree sea of blazing fire. A normal player would melt instantly, but thanks to that shopping spree, Charlie stands perfectly fine in the inferno, ready to get his revenge. This explosive fight with the fire demon is brutal. He is pushed to his absolute limits. But mid-battle, he remembers the teachings of the legendary Monkey King, Sun Wukong, from his past life. By meeting some secret conditions during the fight, he evolves his basic F-rank Monkey Eyes into the legendary Gray Eyes. It's a completely broken skill that lets him predict Saruta strikes, dodge fatal blows, and actually secure the kill on a boss that was designed to be unbeatable. Tutorials? Done. Leaving the ashes behind, he rockets his way up the tower, straight to the 10th floor, known as the Martial Realm. But he isn't there to just take the standard tests and pass through. He bypasses all of that and runs thousands of kilometers, making a beeline straight for the legendary Mount Paradise to find the secretive and wildly powerful Celestial Demon Cult. Now, the cult leader doesn't just hand out power. Charlie has to run this gauntlet of basically impossible tests. First, he navigates a mind-bending forest of illusions using his new gray eyes. Then, he endures absorbing the toxic, dense mana of a slain god's heart, literally vomiting blood in the process. Finally, he masters a high-tier mana clone technique. He proves to the cult lord that his mental fortitude and mana control are just on another level. Then comes the ultimate challenge. The final test requires him to step directly into the sacred fire. This is this ancient, raging pink and black flame that devours everything and drives mortals totally insane. But as he approaches it, he recognizes it. Having fought the outer gods for years in his past life, he knows this is their power. So instead of being terrified, he decides to embrace it and conquer it. He just walks right in. He lets that apocalyptic energy sink straight into his body, fully absorbing the flames and emerging completely unscathed. He scores the S-rank skill Sacred Fire and is immediately crowned the Vice Lord of the cult. And as a permanent mark of this evolution, his eyes shift to burn with the pink and black fire of his cosmic enemies. He literally turned their ultimate weapon into his own. Armed with this terrifying new power, he crashes the Great Martial Arts Tournament on the 10th floor, and he makes it look easy. He effortlessly clashes with high-tier prodigies, most notably Hargan, the wildly powerful son of Zeus. Using just a basic sword and his raw strength, Charlie completely overwhelms Hargan's explosive lightning attacks. He proves to everyone watching, especially the corrupt guild leaders, that he is an undeniable top-tier threat. Right before he jumps to the crucial 20th floor, he decides to break yet another limit. He consumes the Great Scarlet Medicinal Elixir, which is a wildly potent item. Focusing his mind through excruciating physical pain as pure mana refines his body, he pushes his stats to the absolute breaking point. He finally hits the legendary 100 arcane power mark, which unlocks a whole new tier of systemic abilities. Hitting that 100 mark unlocks something called the sensory field. You combine that with his predictive gray eyes, and it's basically a real-life cheat code for flawless battlefield awareness. He instantly teleports onto the 20th floor, right into the middle of a group of corrupted players who are violently bullying innocent giant children. With his new senses, he moves like an absolute blur, slaughtering the attackers before they can even swing their weapons. And that brings us to a huge turning point in this explainer. He has completely shattered the system's rules, conquered impossible tutorials, and literally taken the world-ending power of the apocalypse for himself. He is evolving way faster than the tower can handle, which leaves us with one chilling, provocative thought as we wrap up. What on earth is going to happen when the gods on the upper floors realize he isn't coming to join them, but coming to hunt them?